He is a perfect hybrid of a Japanese fighter with a Western flair. He's got this athleticism to him. He's a southpaw. He gets low. He changes levels. He's got that fluidity. And also, he's got that fundamental strength and heart and fighting spirit that we see from Japanese fighters.
Welcome into Boxing Scene's top stories here on ProBox TV. Download the ProBox TV app. Never fall behind in your boxing news. Well, there's certain centers to the boxing universe. Russia, Mexico. Also right now, Japan. Inoue Nakatani, 29-0, 22 knockouts, defended his title in basically a two-day boxing festival in Japan. Todd DeBuff, top-ranked president, has said it might be him and the monster, Inoue. That's right, could be in 2025, an all-Japan fight, undefeated. It would be extraordinary. To help me break it down, Jimmy Smith alongside the champs. That's right, Paulie Malignaggi, Chris Algieri, and Showtime, Sean Porter. Chris, let me start with you. How excited would you be about that fight tactically? These are two fighters who can do almost everything in the ring.
See my face? I'm already excited. I love this fight, man. I love this fight. I love Inoue. I love Nakatani. I've called a number of Nakatani's fights live on undercards for Top Rank over the years. I've watched him progress, his evolution over the years. He is a perfect hybrid of a Japanese fighter with a Western flair. He's got this athleticism to him. He's a southpaw. He gets low. He changes levels. He's got that fluidity. And also, he's got that fundamental strength and heart and fighting spirit that we see from Japanese fighters. You put those together, man, that is a tall task for anyone in the world, the monster included. I think that this fight is going to happen just at the right time. So we got about a year until this fight happens, I believe. They're looking to put them together sometime in the spring, hopefully here in Vegas, I believe. And then potentially next year around this time, these guys could be stepping into the ring together. I think the timing of that is absolutely perfect. Nakatani has been putting on show after show, performance after performance, getting stoppages every time. A bunch of them have been vicious. I mean, that Maloney knockout in Las Vegas on the undercard of the Devin Haney-Lomachenko fight was one of the most vicious KOs I've ever seen in person. So then he goes out and he knocked out the fighter who had just come off a win over Nonito Donaire, which is an incredible feat. He knocked him out as well with a beautiful 1-2. I mean, he's just showing each and every time out he's improving. He's getting closer to being ready for a guy like Inoue. And listen, stylistically, I'm not saying he can't beat Inoue. I think actually he absolutely can beat Inoue. Not saying he will, but it's the kind of fight that I'm dying to see, and I think it would be a huge, huge fight for not only the Japanese fans, but I think the American fans on this side of the world who are starting to understand how good these Japanese fighters really are. Paulie,
knock on wood, hitting my own head here. When you talk about a fight coming up, how would you get them ready? Do you have the stepping stone? Do you have a tough fight for both of them? Because as Chris said, this is going to mature a little bit for about a year before we see it happen. What do you want to see in the meantime from these two fighters?
I'll tell you what. These are Eastern fighters. Yep. And one thing you notice about Eastern fighters in general, they never look to avoid each other, and they never tell you, oh, how much money you bring. You never hear an Eastern. You always hear the Western guys talk about how many tickets does he sell? How much, where they looking to avoid the tough fight. If you notice Eastern fighters, they just fight, bro. They fight each other. They fight the Western guys. They fight everybody. I've never heard an Eastern fighter try to con artist his way out of a fight by saying how much tickets does this guy sell, or is he a big enough deal? You only hear Western fighters say that kind of crap. So this fight is gonna happen. Having said that, is it like Groundhog Day, dude? I feel like we talk about this concept. We're still a year away, but we know the fight's going to happen. But we're milking the shit out of this already, guys. What are we doing over here? We're going to beat this horse and club the shit out of it until it's dead. I mean, guys, let's let it marinate and build. We're going to get the fight. These guys are not going to avoid each other. The fight's going to happen. Do we have to talk about it every day? No, we don't. We don't have to talk about it every day. Nakatani fought. He won. Inoue's brother lost. So we're not going to get that fight. Inoue's going to look impressive in December, I'm sure. They're going to have to continue to fight. And Jimmy, you said it right. I mean, you keep testing them. They're going to fight everybody. I mean, even if they know that they can fight each other, again, another thing Western fighters do when they know that they're going to fight each other, they take a softie before that so they don't ruin the fight. These guys will take the toughest opposition possible in the meantime. That's how they're built. They don't care that they may fight each other later on in 2025, probably the second half of 2025. They'll take the toughest fight they can find in early 2025 because they don't care. That's how they are. That's why it's easy to be a fan of these guys, regardless of the culture, regardless of not being from where we're from. It's just a true boxing fan loves good action. A true boxing fan loves warriors who will take on anybody, and both for their greatness and also for the entertainment value. These are guys you got to respect. They're getting better and better. They're more and more fun to watch. Their profile is growing. We'll probably talk about this again next week and the week after that again. But having said that, yes, guys. I mean, I look very much forward to watching these guys fight. But before that, I look very much forward to getting more and more excited by their performances leading into that and seeing and trying to break down exactly how we can predict the fight when it is time to actually talk about it.
You mentioned Inoue Inoue's brother, Takuma, just lost over the weekend. I still want to see Nakatani fight him. I love the storyline, the narrative of, oh, I beat my brother, now I got to go avenge.
A little Hollywood kickboxer.
Yeah,
remember
exactly.
kickboxing in Hollywood?
I don't care if he just came off a loss. Make that fight anyway. Who cares?
By the way, also, I just checked my phone. I got a text from our boss, Gary Jonas. It says, tell Paulie he will beat that horse and he will like it. That's what I just got this right. Do your job and beat the horse.
We're clubbing it.
That's what he does. Showtime, what do you think about this fight and the timing of it next year?
I was just gonna say, like, the funny part about beating the dead horse is the
fact it's alive. We just keep beating it till it's dead. It's alive. The fight hasn't happened yet. It's definitely alive.
Whichever way you want to say it. The bottom line is, we as analysts, we have to put in the face of the boxing world what they need to know and what they need to see. I think for a very long time, the narrative has been controlled by boxing, by the business of boxing. And again, I have to salute ProBox TV, because you guys do what other networks won't do. You guys do what boxing itself won't do. You won't show the best that can come. Everybody's so hung up on Tank Davis and the other big name in the boxing world. There's so many other fighters that we could talk about. There's so many other great fights that we could talk about. When we talk about this one specifically, though, the boxing world over here in America has never been, or hasn't been for a very long time, connected to the Japanese boxing, that style of boxing, and the list goes on for a very long time. We now have two guys that translate to the American population and what we want to see when you get in the boxing ring. They do it with the Asian flair, with the Japanese flair, but they do it also with an American flair. So I mean, when we talk about the timing of these two fighters, the timing of this fight happening is perfect timing, because in a time where American boxing fans would never look at who's over there in Japan and who can we bring over here. For the first time in a very long time, you got not just one, but you got two guys that translate very well to us, and we look forward to seeing them. So I'm not mad about talking about it right now.
Sean,
I don't talk about it every day like y'all do. So
Champ, but you know what? You're also making a good point, though. You know, because now you're making me think about more stuff, and of course I'm a pessimist, so I complain a lot. And in that regard, you know, when we talk about Eastern fighters, at least we talk about them fighting each other, and they're gonna fight each other. A lot of times when we talk about these Western stars, the conversation is who they're not fighting, why the fights aren't getting made, why you know. We talk about the possibilities, and then we end up having to complain about, well, why is it not happening? Who's to blame? All this other stuff. You ever notice the Eastern guys, we always talk about the fight is going to happen. The fight is, and the fight does happen. You know, the next time we do a ranking show on a pound-for-pound list, I'm going to make my Hollywood pound-for-pound list, and I'm going to make the real fighters pound-for-pound list. Because a lot of times, boxing fans get confused and intermix the two together. And then the fighters fighting everybody don't get enough credit, because the fighters fighting everybody are going to knock each other off, take losses, and then not wind up on the pound-for-pound list. Either we get rid of pound-for-pound lists, or we have to have a category A and a B. Hollywood pound for pound and real pound for pound.
With Paulie, always get the real pound for pound. Chris, this is something we've discussed before is, you know, will it play in America? Can they be big in the United States? Can Inoue become a star in the U.S.? Your argument was, hey, he's putting butts in seats in Tokyo. He's selling out arenas. Does it really need to play in the United States? What's the importance to you of this fight itself breaking through in the United States?
Well, I think, you know, I'm gonna go to Bob Arum, you know, the founder of Top Rank Boxing, the Bob Father, as we like to call him. And he jumped in the ring after, I forgot which fight it was. I think it was Inoue's fight, and he really mapped out what's going to happen for the next year. He goes, we're bringing him to Vegas in the spring. We're going to put him and Nakatani on the card. They're going to fight their respective fights, and that's going to set up them meeting in the fall at some time. And he wants to do that in America as well. I think it's better to actually bring that one back over to Tokyo Dome, do it in Japan. But regardless, I think the idea is to introduce Inoue to the fans with the star power that he has now, because he is a legitimate global star at this point. I had mentioned he doesn't need to leave Japan because, listen, he's making a ton of money. He's selling out the Tokyo Dome, which is crazy to think about, a 122-pounder doing that. But if you want to really touch the rest of the world, and trust me, Bob and Top Rank and Todd DeBuff, they want to bring him to the rest of the world. They want to bring him over here to the West. I think that the game plan they have set out right now is extremely, extremely smart. And not only is that going to drive butts and seats over there, it's going to drive pay-per-view numbers, which is really where the money's at for these guys. I think Inoue could be a legit pay-per-view bona fide star.
You're making my mind turn. One last thing here, Jimmy. One last thing. Making my mind turn here. These guys actually could fill up Dodger Stadium.
Yep.
They could fill up the Tokyo Dome.
Yep.
And if it is a trilogy, they could probably fill up at least the O2 Arena in England. I'm telling you, these guys could fill up in 3 different continents, bro. That's how big of a stars they are. And there's not many fighters that could do that. You make this fight, it can fill arenas in 3 different continents.
Also, you bring up Dodger Stadium. I'm an LA native. A lot of Japanese Americans.
All right. So you beat the Mets again last night. All right.
I'm just saying. Dodger Stadium.
Speaking of beating dead horses.
You brought it up. Also, last thing, Showtime. Nakatani would be coming up in weight class for Inoue. What's your thought on that? Would Inoue have the power advantage to you?
I know most of those Japanese fighters, they are naturally small. So I think there is a small separation between a Japanese fighter coming up a weight class opposed to a lot of us everywhere else. We walk around probably 1, if not 2 weight classes above where we fight at, and we work our way down. Those who do it correctly, we work our way down to our relative weight class. But it's only a couple of pounds. It's not like it's 10 pounds. It's 3 or 4, right? If I'm not mistaken, it's like 3 or 4 pounds. So to me, that's not much of a difference. And I think Nakatani's range, also his style, makes up for what he may possibly be missing in terms of his power equivalency to Inoue's power to Inoue's power. I'm not sure there's much difference there. I could be wrong, but I don't think that there is.
Yeah, Nakatani's very tall and long for the weight class of 122. He'll be tall, at 118. He'll be tall and long for 122 as well. And to your point, champion, it's only a couple of pounds. And listen, Inoue, we're looking at his 5th weight class here. So even though he's the bigger man, he's not a bigger man historically. Nakatani is young, he's tall, he's long. I don't think the weight's really an issue.
Well, it's going to be a fantastic fight. As Paulie said, we're going to be breaking it down until it happens. Talking about the ins and outs here on ProBox TV. But this weekend, of course, Tszyu versus Murtaza Aliyev. Don't forget to check out his interview on our YouTube channel. Also, next Wednesday night fights are back. More knockouts to come, just like the Dodgers here on ProBox TV.
Wednesday night fights. In partnership with DeBella Entertainment, it's Broadway Boxing Heroes on the Hudson 2, with proceeds benefiting veterans of the U.S. Armed Forces. October 23rd. Don't miss Mio Yoshida as she defends her IBF Bantamweight World title in a rematch against Sharetta Metcalf. Live from the theater at Madison Square Garden. Wednesday night fights.
Boxing superstar Tim Tszyu is coming to Prime Video. Don't miss this championship showdown as Tszyu takes on undefeated Murtaza Aliyev for the Super Welterweight World title. Saturday, October 19th, streaming live exclusively on Prime Video for all Prime members.
For more ProBox TV, scan the QR code on the screen or go to the App Store and Google Play. ProBox TV, your boxing channel.